Hey everyone, welcome to a deep dive into this RailModeller Pro software.
Sounds good.
Yeah, you guys sent over a whole bunch of excerpts from what looks like the user guide.
Yeah.
So that means it's time for us to, trade those tiny little printed train cars for a digital design studio, right?
Yep.
Are you ready to build the model railroad of your dreams entirely digitally?
Absolutely. And you know what I find so fascinating about this RailModeller Pro
Yeah?
is that it goes beyond just letting you design the layout. It really gives you the tools to virtually experience it before you even lay down that first piece of track.
Okay, now that's what I'm talking about.
Right.
And speaking of experiencing the layout, can we just jump right into this 3D mode?
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't like your grandma's model train set. You know what I'm saying? This window toolbar section,
Yeah.
it talks about how you can literally fly through your digital layout
Fly through your layout.
and see every incline, every little detail
Every detail, it's amazing.
in all its glory.
Yeah.
It's like taking a virtual tour of your imagination, basically.
And you know, that's actually a really crucial point because think about all the times, like when you're physically building these things, you get halfway through and you realize, oh, shoot, this curve is way too tight, or this grade is too steep.
Yeah.
This lets you work out all those kinks digitally.
Totally.
You save time, money, and a lot of heartache down the road.
Right. No more oh man, I gotta tear down this whole mountain because my engine can't make it up this incline.
Exactly.
The worst.
So frustrating.
So how do we even get to building those mountains digitally, of course?
So
Let's back up a little bit to, I think it's the general overview section.
Right.
It's stepping into the RailModeller Pro workshop, right?
exactly. You got your drawing canvas right there in the center, your blank slate, ready for track. And I think this is where the software's user-friendliness really shines,
Okay.
because even if you're totally new to digital design, it's very intuitive, almost like you're sketching out ideas on paper,
Okay.
but obviously with a lot more power.
Right, right.
Yeah, a lot more power.
And then the initial setup section, it even lets you personalize your workspace. So you can choose your preferred units of measurement, whether you think in, inches or centimeters. I mean, remember that time I tried to build that bookshelf using the wrong measurements?
Oh, no.
It was a disaster. RailModeller Pro would have saved me a lot of trouble that day.
And speaking of avoiding trouble, the tolerance of track connections.
Okay.
This is genius.
Right.
You can set how strictly the software enforces the connections between track pieces.
Oh, okay.
So remember those old charmingly wonky train sets?
Yeah, yeah.
Where the tracks didn't quite fit together perfectly?
Yeah, they had a little give to them.
Exactly. RailModeller Pro can handle that.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
It can handle that.
So whether you're a stickler for total precision,
Right.
or you love those little quirks of the vintage track,
Yeah, it adapts.
RailModeller Pro adapts.
Your style.
So we've got our workspace, but where's the good stuff, right?
Yeah.
Cue the library catalog.
Right.
This is where this program, this software, transforms from a simple design tool to a virtual train store with endless aisles.
And I mean endless, and it's organized.
Oh, is it?
We're talking every conceivable track piece, categorized by scale, by type, by specific brand names.
Wow.
Imagine you're trying to find, one specific curved track section.
Yeah.
Instead of driving all over town, going to different hobby stores, you just type in the search bar, boom, there it is.
Talk about a time saver.
Right.
And then remember all those late night building sessions?
Oh, yeah.
When you suddenly realize, oh, shoot, I'm out of this one crucial piece.
Oh, I know, yeah.
RailModeller Pro to the rescue.
What does it do?
It actually shows you your stock levels in real time.
Oh, wow. No more last-minute runs to the hobby store.
That's amazing.
So we've got this virtual train store explosion.
Right.
How do we tame it?
Okay.
Enter layers general overview.
Layers.
Layers. I love layers.
Layers. Okay.
Think of them like, those clear plastic sheets animators use?
Yeah, yeah.
Each one holding a different element of the scene.
Right, right.
So you can manipulate tracks on one layer without messing up that, beautifully crafted mountain range you've got going on another layer.
Yeah.
They don't interfere with each other.
And just a good mountain range needs a solid base, right? Or layouts, they need baseboards.
Yes.
But this is where RailModeller Pro really surprised me.
Oh, how so?
I always thought baseboards were just
The base.
the base is the outline. There's so much more.
There's so much more than that.
They really are.
They really are.
It blew my mind.
It's like they're the foundation of your model world, right?
Okay.
But they come with all these cool tools, like in the using Baseboard section.
Yeah,
It talks about this Baseboard assistant that lets you create, like, common shapes, like L shapes, rectangles, you name it.
Right.
And then you can customize them to your heart's content.
Customization really seems to be like RailModeller Pro's middle name.
Yeah.
We've talked about personalizing the workspace, fine-tuning the track connections, but it goes so much deeper than that.
Deeper, okay.
Like the element properties and working with layout elements sections kind of blew my mind a little bit.
Really? What'd you find so fascinating about that?
I don't know. It's all about control.
Oh.
You're not just placing like pre-made pieces, you're like sculpting the landscape.
You're sculpting the landscape. I like that.
You can adjust the angle of a curve, like on the fly.
Wow.
You can tweak the elevation of a track section.
That's amazing.
They even have this thing called the joint rotate function to fine-tune those connections for like a perfectly snug fit. It's like having like these tiny virtual pliers for your track.
I love that. Tiny little virtual pliers.
It's wild. And don't even get me started on the visual aspect.
Okay.
We talked about 3D mode.
Yes.
But this window toolbar excerpt, it mentions a bunch of different viewing options.
Oh, cool.
To help you, really appreciate your creation.
Oh.
So you've got your, classic top view, like perfect for that bird's eye perspective.
Yep.
But then it gets really neat because you can switch to a combined like top and side view.
Oh, wow.
At the same time.
So you can see
it is incredibly useful
close together
for visualizing those elevation changes, right?
Exactly.
Like imagine you're designing like a mountain pass.
Right.
You can see exactly how steep those inclines are.
You got it.
You can make sure your trains aren't going to struggle.
That's important.
It's like having X-ray vision.
I love
for your model railroad.
That's a great way to put it.
And speaking of X-ray vision,
okay.
Remember how we talked about RailModeller Pro being like this virtual train store?
Yeah, with the endless aisles.
It also comes with this like meticulous inventory manager.
All right.
It's called the part list.
Oh, the part list. Okay.
This feature is a game changer for staying organized.
I believe it.
Especially for those like larger, more intricate layouts that you're talking about.
Right. You need all the help you can get.
It really is like having this like, personal assistant who just keeps track of every single piece you use.
Oh, wow.
Like, how many of those specific curve traps did I use?
Right.
Boom, part list tells you.
That's amazing. So it really is like having that assistant. So you don't have to keep track of it all yourself?
It does it all for you.
That's amazing.
And it's not just about keeping track, right?
What else does it do?
The part list also doubles as a cost estimator.
Oh, nice.
Remember that like sinking feeling when you realize,
you've gone like way over budget on your latest model railroad.
Happens all the time.
With this, you can kiss those days goodbye.
Wow, so it helps you budget.
It even lets you generate like shopping lists.
No way.
Directly from your design.
So you can take it to the store?
Making those trips to the hobby store an absolute breeze.
Wow, and it's accurate.
And the part list is smart enough.
Is it?
To differentiate between tracks from different manufacturers.
Oh, wow.
Even if they look practically identical.
That's important.
Which is really important.
Especially for those older...
For those older track systems?
Yeah.
That might have, like, slight variations?
Yes, slight variations.
So you can be confident that you are ordering the exact pieces you need, no more, no less?
That's peace of mind right there.
Yeah.
It's like RailModeller Pro is saying, like, hey, I got your back.
I gotcha.
From the first track to the final detail.
I love that.
And speaking of details, we've barely scratched the surface of what this software can do.
I was just thinking that. There's so much more to it.
There's so much more to it.
Do we even realize?
The user guide mentions, like, all these advanced editing operations.
Oh, really? Like what?
Like, grouping elements together to make them easier to work with.
Okay.
They have something called grading tracks.
The grading track.
To create, like,
like
realistic inclines.
Okay.
And declines.
Yeah.
So no more stalled engines on those mountain passes, right?
Exactly.
And then they even have this, like, smart insert tool, which is kind of cool.
What does that do?
For placing, like, really complex track formations, like those like mesmerizing helixes that spiral upwards.
Yeah, those are cool.
It can like do that for you.
So it's like as you become a more advanced designer, the software kind of grows with you.
Exactly.
You can start with the basics, and then as you get comfortable, there's all this other stuff to explore.
It's like it's peeling back those layers. No pun intended.
I was going to say all those layers. Yeah, it's like...
But, you know,
Yeah.
it really feels like this RailModeller Pro,
Yeah.
it's achieved something kind of special here.
What do you mean?
It's not just about, like, you know, replacing the physical act of model railroading. It's like enhancing it.
I see what you're saying.
You know, like imagine being able to test out like these wild track designs. Right. Creating these like sprawling landscapes that you could only dream of building like in your basement.
Oh, yeah.
Like the possibilities are kind of endless.
Yeah, so it really opens up those creative doors.
It really does.
That you might not have in the real world.
Yeah, because you're not limited by like, you know, space and budget and all that stuff.
Totally. You're not worried about running out of space in your basement.
Exactly.
Or your attic or wherever you're building this thing.
Yeah, exactly. And that kind of brings us to, like, I don't know. This is kind of like an interesting question.
Okay, I like interesting questions.
Like,
shoot.
If you can design a layout in, like, such detail, right?
Like this much detail, yeah.
Visualize it in 3D. I think even, like, virtually run trains on it.
Really? You can run trains on it?
I think so. I mean, we haven't gotten to that part of the user guide yet, but...
Okay.
Yeah, I was assuming.
It's like a simulation almost.
Yeah, like, does it even need to exist? Like...
That's a good question.
In the real world.
Right. Does it have to be physical?
Yeah.
To be enjoyable?
Like, can the digital model itself become a form of model railroading?
That's a good question.
I don't know. It's something to think about.
Yeah. I like that a lot.
It's kind of deep, right?
It is deep.
It is deep. It's like, it's making me think, like, what is model railroading, really?
Right.
Is it about, like, the tangible physical thing?
Right. Is it about holding the trains in your hand?
Or is it about, like, the design, the creativity?
The vision.
Yeah, and maybe, like, this software is blurring those lines a little bit.
I think so. I think it's challenging our perceptions.
Yeah, in a good way, in a very cool way.
Yeah, definitely.
We've journeyed from the basics of, like, RailModeller Pro's interface.
We've learned a lot.
To, like, you know, the mind-blowing potential of all these features.
And the possibilities.
And honestly, I think it's pretty clear
yeah.
that this software, it's not just a tool.
It's not.
It's like a gateway.
It's a gateway drug.
To this whole new world of, like, model railroading possibilities.
It really is. And, you know...
It's very exciting.
It is exciting, and it's for everyone.
I think so, too.
Whether you are, you know, a seasoned veteran who's been building these things for years, or you're just starting out.
Yeah, totally.
RailModeller Pro has something to offer you.
And on that note, listeners... Yeah.
I think it's time for us to get this train rolling out of the station.
Yeah, out of the station. I like that.
I don't know if that metaphor really worked, but...
I think it worked.
It's been great diving into RailModeller Pro with you all.
It really has. This has been fun.
So until next time, happy railroading, everyone.
Happy railroading.